Hello and welcome to another episode of your Technologically Inept Foods teacher to teach you today about vegan fried rice. Already I've had the students say, ew, not vegan fried rice, that can't be good. First of all, it can be good, and let's not knock things before we even try them. But let's first define what is a vegan. Do you guys know what does a vegan do that would be outside of the norm for like a vegetarian? Lost my marker already. Talk to me, Dax.
They don't eat anything like byproducts from animals.
Animals or any animal byproducts. That is correct. Vegan. They do not eat animals or animal byproducts. All right, so that includes milk, cheese, eggs, everything that comes from animals, and even like some extreme vegans might say that honey, because it comes from bees, they would consider even a bee an animal and would be like, nope, we're not eating honey either, it comes from the precious bee, okay? There are other types of vegetarianism that are on the least extreme of the spectrum. So then if you look at vegetarianism as a spectrum, we have the meat eaters, that's me. Then on the other end of the spectrum, we've got the vegans. And then somewhere in the middle, I'd say, of the spectrum, we have the lacto-ovo vegetarians, which is really a place where if you're thinking about becoming a vegetarian, probably go to the lacto-ovo side first, because it would be the easiest place to start. Because lacto means they still consume milk, and ovo means they still consume eggs. Okay? And then we've also got, somewhere in the same realm, the pescatarian, which would be a type of vegetarian that still consumes fish. Right? Any other questions? Are you guys already hot? You're good? So it's just basically where you kind of stand on a scale. Vegan fried rice is fine. Now keep in mind, it doesn't have to be vegan. At home, if you wanted to do the same recipe, but you wanted to add chicken or some type of meat or tofu or any kind of protein byproduct, that's great. But the reason why we chose this vegan fried rice recipe today is to teach you about plant-based protein, okay? So in our recipe today, we've got peas and we've got edamame beans. Now, both of those things are incomplete proteins. So remember yesterday when we drew the chart about incomplete proteins, complete proteins, and they're half of the puzzle? So, for example, today in this recipe, we've got the peas and edamame beans. As part of our protein, but we would call these incomplete proteins because let's say they contain 4 essential amino acids, for example. They're gonna say 4 essential amino acids. That's what we're gonna call them. But also in the sauce of this recipe, we have peanut butter, right? We've got peanut butter and we have soy sauce. So peanut butter contains the other 4, right? So we've got peanut butter. Now, when we eat these two together, they complement each other. So we call them complementary proteins, right? So they're only when the proteins, all 8 essential amino acids are together, can this be used in the body, right? So you need all 8. So you have to complement the two together. So we're using edamame beans as half of our complementary protein and peanut butter as our other half, okay? So that was the whole purpose of choosing this. Now, you're going to notice that each person here has a plate today. So on your plate, as an individual, you'll have green onions. You will have garlic. You have a little custard cup that's got some carrots here that you're going to dice. I'll demo that in a sec. And then half of this custard cup has 60 mils of peas and 60 mils of edamame beans. Okay. And then you have a sauce cup. So you've got hot sauce in here. You've got brown sugar in here. You've got what else did I put in here?
Hot sauce.
Peanut butter
Hot
and
sauce.
soy sauce. And I think I already said hot sauce. Now, if you want to add a little bit of your garlic into here, you certainly can. But this is your garlic for the day. So whichever stage, so I'd ask for it in stage 1 and stage 2. But if you just want to have it in one of the stages, it's fine. So it tells you to finely dice your carrots. Now, before I do that, I'm going to get my oil heating in my frying pan. Now, when you heat oil in a pan, you want to do it over slowly and patiently over medium heat. And when you finally dice your vegetables, carrots are round, so you got to be careful. Always try to make a round vegetable. Take a slice off of it to try to get it on a flat side. And a fine dice means a small square. So what I'm going to do, first of all, so Sadie and Cynthia, you guys head down. That's okay. You guys just go out the back door there. Oh, yeah, maybe, or go out this door. It's fine. You won't be in the video, or we'll just see the back of your head. And it's not. It's my own private video. So I'm going to cut this into sticks, and then from sticks, I'm gonna do a fine dice. Okay, so this is a fine dice. Now, fine dice is really, really nice. That's what the recipe asked for. So you can do that with your other carrot too. Now keep in mind we gotta saute vegetables according to the recipe and according to how hard they are. So hardest vegetables go first, and then you cook them for 2 to 3 minutes, then you add in the next hardest, and so on and so forth until your vegetables are all in the pan. Now it tells us that we need to cook rice. So my oil is still heating, and I want to teach you guys about the rice method. Does anybody know what the rice method is? So a lot of people just have, you know, a rice cooker at home, but the rice method is, I like to do everything old school because that's how I am. So the rice and the water go together in a pot. The ratio of rice to water is 1 part rice to 2 parts water. That's only if we're talking about white varieties of rice. Whole wheat is a whole nother bag of worms, and you need to follow the instructions because it could be 40 to 60 minutes to cook whole wheat rice. It's a completely different thing. So it's a 1 to 2 ratio. So if I'm using 125 mils rice, then I'm using 250 mils water. All right, so rice and water can start together unlike pasta. You put it in, you put it over high heat. Place over high heat, bring up to a boil, only up to. So as soon as you see the bubbles bubbling at the top of the water, immediately turn down low. By low, I mean like about a number 3. So if our dials are from 1 to 10, low is going to be somewhere between a 2 and a 3. And then put a lid on. And then 15 minutes on the timer. Okay, after 15 minutes, remove from heat, keep the lid on. Okay, after another 5 minutes, that's so for 5 minutes, then you fluff with a fork. Should be perfect every time. Okay, that is the rice method. It is the same every single time. If you learn it and you know it off by heart, it's going to help you at home. It's going to help you in this class because we're going to use rice for a lot of things. You're going to notice that in your kitchens that Mrs. Strada and myself work to give you guys like a little rice pantry rather than dealing out little baggies of rice to each individual person. But again, I have to remind you that one person goes, we sanitize the containers we touch, we put them back, and then the next person goes because we cannot all be touching the containers, okay? So please make sure everything is sanitized and we switch to the next person. Now, I see over here, let's see, water, or your oil should run like water through the pan. So usually what I tell my students in determining if their oil is hot enough to add food is to take a little sample piece of a carrot or something that you're gonna cook, one little piece, put it in the oil, and when that little sample piece starts to sizzle and cook, then that's when your oil is hot enough to add the rest, right? What happens if you add all your food into a pan and the oil is not hot enough? What does it do?
Soaks it
it just soaks it in. The food acts like a sponge, it becomes very oily, and that's not what we want to do. We want to cook the outside of the food, but we want the inside to be cooked, but still firm and crispy, right? That's how you see a stir fry, not floppy and mushy and squishy, right? You want it to be cooked, but firm and with vibrant colors, not like pea green broccoli and yucky things of that nature, okay? So I'm gonna first cook my carrots, then I'm gonna add in my edamame beans and my garlic, and at the end, I'm going to finish with my green onions after I stir my rice, which will already be cooked, into the frying pan. You're gonna remove it to a plate, you're gonna come show it to me, I'm gonna give you a mark out of 10, and then you're going to come and collect a fork. I'll deliver you all forks and eat your product, clean it up. We're going to sanitize as I usually expect. Is there any questions? Yes. When do you put the sauce in? It tells you. So I think once everything is together, it says to the still hot pan, add the cooked rice and the remaining sauce and cook over medium-high heat for another 3 or 4 minutes to combine the sauce in with the rice and the edamame beans. You kind of put it in as the end to make sure that it's fully coated. You cook it for a few more minutes. Make sense? Let's put our backpacks in the designated areas, not touching. Let's sanitize our stools. Let's sanitize our phones. Let's wash our hands and let us begin. Thank you.